All right, let's talk about leadership. Specifically, we're going to dive into a framework that gets to the heart of one of the most powerful and honestly most misunderstood parts of being a leader, power itself. I mean, that's a pretty big question, right? But it cuts right to the chase. It makes you think beyond just being a manager. It's about leading with real, lasting impact. Okay, so let's get into it. If you want to be that kind of leader, that hero, you've got to get comfortable with the idea of power. And, that's exactly where a lot of modern leaders get tripped up. Think about it. From way back in ancient history to the boardroom today, power has always been the engine driving leadership. But here's the problem. We have this tendency to see it as this dark, corrupting thing or something you just chase for your own ego. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the two sides here. On the left, you've got the usual story about power. It's scary, it's about being the boss, it's all instinct. But look at the right side. That's the potential. Power as something you can actually understand, a force you can harness with wisdom, not just muscle. It's about using it to help people grow, to empower your whole team. And that shift in perspective, well, that's everything. So how in the world do you make that jump from pure instinct to real wisdom? Well, this approach finds the answer in a pretty unexpected place, by using ancient insights as a guide for the challenges we face right now. And that guide is something called a sutra. Now, let's be super clear here, this has nothing to do with religion. A sutra is basically a thread of insight. It's a timeless observation about how we as humans tick. Once you start to see these fundamental patterns in people's behavior, you can guide your own actions with so much more clarity. So the whole point of using these sutras is to help you as a leader really get what people need on a deeper level. It's about turning your personal influence into energy for the whole group and building up that self-awareness and resilience that, let's be honest, all the great leaders have. And look, this isn't some secret knowledge just for the folks in the corner office. These ideas work for anyone at any level who wants to stop just managing things and start leading in an extraordinary way. Okay, so what does this path actually look like? It's all built around what this program calls the 4 pillars of power. Think of it as a roadmap to really mastering this whole approach. So here they are: significance, property, rules, and stability. These 4 things are fundamental human needs. And when you understand them, they become these incredibly powerful tools for you as a leader. Let's break them down really quick. First up, significance. This is all about the deep-seated need to feel like we matter. As a leader, you learn to see how things like job titles, a simple thank you, or even just access to information, they all act like a kind of social currency. You can use them to build real influence and help people feel valued for what they contribute. Then you've got property. And no, we're not just talking about physical stuff. This is about how the very idea of ownership, owning a project, owning an idea, completely shapes how we think and make decisions. When you get this, you start to see how that desire to build a legacy drives, well, pretty much everything. The third pillar is rules. Now, I know what you might be thinking, rules are about control and restriction, right? But here, you learn to see them as tools. They're for taming chaos and setting fair boundaries, sure, but most importantly, they create a space where your team can actually exercise good judgment instead of just following orders. And finally, there's stability. In a world that feels like it's in constant motion, people are desperate for an anchor. This pillar is all about your ability as a leader to provide that, to create a sense of calm, set clear priorities, and build a team that can handle shocks without completely falling apart. So you work through these 4 pillars. Then what? What's the end result? Well, it's more than just learning a few new tricks. It's a genuine transformation in how you see yourself and your role. This really lays out the payoff. You'll actually be able to see why people do what they do. You'll be able to design smarter strategies, and you'll learn how to balance being in charge with having real empathy. It's all about creating growth that actually lasts for your company and for you. And that brings us to this really powerful idea, the lion within. That's our instinct. It's that part of us that wants to dominate, to control, to protect ourselves. Real leadership isn't about killing that instinct. It's about having the courage to grow beyond it, to become a wiser, more conscious leader. So I'll just leave you with this to think about, because at the end of the day, leadership isn't some title you get. It's about the choices you make every single day. The real question is, what choice will you make to show you've grown?